Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got Brian Brooks, who's going to tell us where the logjam for crypto is. Monica Long at Ripple Swell, you're going to want every bit of it. And is HSBC using Metaco, owned by Ripple, for custody? We got that and so much more. How about the network effects of XRP? How about somebody roll that beautiful intro?
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Before we get started, let's look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It's linked to the home of the best private equity in the world. And if you don't believe me, you can believe the 426,000 plus registered users. Why haven't you signed up and registered to get started today? Over 300 million total investments. This is a call to action. Click the link underneath the video. Tell them I sent you. Tell them I said to come on in. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It is the best home for private equity in the world. Right here, it is the prices, ladies and gentlemen. The cryptocurrency market cap, $1.39 trillion. The market's up 1.6. We see 35,400 plus for Bitcoin. We see 1,800 and change for Ethereum. We see Tether market cap at 86.1 billion plus here. And 69 cents for XRP, which has slipped back to the number 5 spot, but that's okay. We're up 1% on the 24-hour. We're up 14.9 on the 7-day, ladies and gentlemen. I like seeing that. Really quickly here, the range of price. Let's see what's going on here. Things moving a little slow today. There we go. Range of price between 66 and 69 cents. So things are moving around today a bit. We'll want to keep an eye on it. But let's start here and not forget the big advertisement in Times Square. Ripple, crypto means business. You damn right it does. And we know that Ripple Swell has just recently started in Dubai yesterday. Ripple's new integration with XRP Ledger DEX adds to Ripple's liquidity, enables new on and off ramps. Loving it, loving it, loving it. This is from Monica Long, and we're going to hear from her in her thread here. Crypto utility starts with payments, and for the last decade, Ripple's focused on key components of infrastructure, liquidity, off-ramps, tokenization, custody, compliance, required for enterprise-grade payments, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're unveiling an end-to-end solution just for that. And inside of that is the tweet that she shared here, introducing Ripple Payments, the next evolution of Ripple Payments product, delivering a licensed end-to-end solution for FIs and some small medium enterprises with 70 plus payout markets, expanded crypto liquidity options, integration with the XRP Ledger DEX, and more. She goes on to say this is an evolution of our product where our customers can tap into crypto utility without having to be an expert in using this technology. A single onboarding experience with Ripple managing end-to-end flow to move value at any time as fast and low cost as possible. I'll be taking stage at Ripple Swell shortly to share more, and we can't wait to hear more from the president of Ripple, Monica Long. You can't say it any better. Then there's this guy, the former Office of Comptroller of Currency. It's the one and only Brian Brooks, and he's going to tell you what is the logjam here for getting tokenization of real-world assets broke open. But remember, while he's saying that, that's here in the United States, not around the rest of the world, and we're getting ready to see some news that proves that.
Basis. They're either funded by the agencies, which is a majority of all housing credit in the United States, or they're funded privately through a series of securitization transactions that are mostly underwritten by one of a handful of big banks. Blockchain makes it possible to crowdsource funding almost globally. I'm actually on the board of a crypto company called Credix. And what it does is it allows people to identify an aspirational rate of return, and it matches borrowers and lenders in different asset classes that achieve that rate of return much more efficiently and much more globally from a much more diverse set of investors. So those things are all good. But what's the problem? Where this breaks down, it's not on the underwriting side. You know, AI can be very, very good at that. It's not on the recordation side, because smart contract protocols can already do that inside of the crypto universe, so that exists and will scale. Where it really is on the fundraising side. And that is because nobody wants to invest in an asset that they can't readily sell. And the reason that it's hard for people to want to invest in a token versus a mortgage-backed security is because of issues around U.S. securities regulation, which make it very hard to either buy and sell tokens or to list tokens on a securities exchange. And you have two kinds of problems here. One is a problem about what is a security. So if I'm buying a fractional interest in a house or a fractional interest in a mortgage pool, is that a security that's subject to regulation? But even more fundamentally, if we decide that it is a security that is subject to regulation, at the moment, the SEC and FINRA won't allow that security, if it is a security, to register with FINRA and trade on an exchange. That's the real puzzling thing about crypto securities, is unlike normal securities where there's a well-known registration process, crypto securities are currently barred from trading anywhere because FINRA won't allow it. That's the last mile problem here. Once we allow mortgage tokens to be fungible, the same way that all other financial assets are fungible, to be bought and sold on an exchange, floodgates will open. But that hasn't happened yet for whatever reason, and I know you have some regulators speaking on these issues later today. You should ask them.
In typical Brian Brooks fashion, and you should ask him. But that's where the logjam in the U.S. is. But listen very quickly to this quick clip here from Brad Garlinghouse about the kind of money that's coming into this space and looking for custody and tokenization of real-world assets.
The macro environment around custody digital assets is expected to be close to $10 trillion by the year 2030.
That is a massive number. But look at what just announced. HSBC plans digital asset custody using Ripple's Metaco. How about that? Shout out to Cowboy Crypto. Give him a follow. And Chad Steinberg too. HSBC Holdings plans to launch a digital asset custody service for its institutional clients. HSBC will work with Ripple-owned firm Metaco for its storage needs. How about that? You know what? That doesn't need the United States' approval now, does it? Watch out, world. The things are moving so quickly. Then there was this very great quick from Mr. Man here is a question answering AI, artificial intelligence. If the values of XRP and XLM were to stabilize due to high velocity and high value payments were settled on these coins, would their values need to be higher to settle the velocity of high value payments and the frequency at which the payments occur? And you know what it said? Yes. Absolutely, and it could potentially stabilize the value of XRP, XLM, and other factors could also impact their stability. And you know what else could impact it? Network effects. Now, if you haven't joined us in the Patreon Freedom Zone, please click the link and join us below. We went over this a week ago, little more than a week ago, and this is network effects, Ripple, XRP, and the US dollar. The US dollar has so many network effects that it absolutely is magnified to the need and use of that US dollar. Well, the same thing, I believe, is going to unfold in play for XRP as well. That's why Ripple has had their head down building the kind of market infrastructure and the kind of relationships to create network effects. We've heard Brad Garlinghouse use that phrase. We've heard Naveen Gupta use that phrase, and so many others out here in the Ripple camp. But I want you to listen to this 10-minute video. This is the kind of stuff we're tackling inside of the Freedom Zone, as well as many other censorship topics that we can't even dare to touch. And I want you to check this out. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freedom Zone here. Now, we're going to get started today, and I want to start with a tweet that has just been rolling around in my crawl, and I can't wait to get into it because there was a phrase and a term used in the tweet that has just stuck with me, and I think it's going to stick with you the same way if it hasn't already. Let's get into it right now. So it's this. Stephen Nureyev, shout out to him and all the work he's doing, and apparently he is about to drop some receipts, as the youngsters like to say these days, evidence about ETHgate and the free pass coming very soon, according to him and his attorney. But there was this tweet here, and we did cover it, but I want to go back into it for a specific reason. Let me level set by reading the tweet. He said just a few days ago, I believe XRP has no ceiling if they achieve their objectives. It's not simple response, but I'll give you a high-level take. Usually, a lower price XRP would make their offering more attractive. However, Ripple is clearly the odds-on favorite to win in a network effects model. Now, this is a very, very key phrase, and this is what got me hung up here. And I was like, now, wait a second. Now, we've all heard the term, but what does it really mean, right? Well, let me read the rest of the tweet, and we're going to get into what it really means here. Once this is achieved, XRP must be, and at the point, I don't see a ceiling on the price. Look at the US dollar. Now he's making a comparison to the network effects model to the US dollar. This is a remarkable comparison here. We're going to get to another comparison that's remarkable in just a second. Look at the US dollar, which has network effects and is the standard that must be used in countless instances. There is clearly no ceiling on the price of the dollar as it gets massively depreciated, but price becomes irrelevant, overshadowed by its required necessity. Come to think of it, could XRP take the reserve currency role in part or whole? What a remarkable question that is. Interesting concept. Wonder if that had anything to do with Ripple being viciously and unfairly targeted, which I certainly believe it was. Probably just a conspiracy theory that so many powerful entities would go to such lengths to just unjustly do everything they can do to slow Brad Garlinghouse and company down, as they knew they couldn't be caught with their favored alternatives. He says, note that I don't own XRP or Ether right now, so nobody can say I'm doing this for any ulterior motives other than justice, radical change to a more fair, transparent system. It's a remarkable tweet. But let's get into pieces of this very quickly here, because first of all, he's considering and comparing this to the network effects of the US dollar, right? Now let's get out of the way the unfairly and viciously targeted. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I have said that I agree with John Deaton that the lawsuit was used as a weapon, but I've also gone a step further to say, how did they know, the people that used it as a weapon, how did they know to pick Ripple and XRP to sue? Unless they had inside knowledge of understanding the true depth and power of Ripple the company and XRP and its potential network effects. That's always been my thing. That's where I believe Bill Hinman, Jay Clayton, and others knew. And basically, I personally believe that it appears that they colluded or conspired to be able to hold it down so Ethereum and JP Morgan and, yes, China could benefit from that attempt at a monopoly. That's what I believe happened there. And when we talk about network effects, what are we talking about? Well, he compared it to the network effects of the US dollar and the many different needs, use cases, and necessity to use the US dollar, right? We all know the multiple different ways that the US dollar is used around the world. But look at the telephone. Look at the telephone and the telephone network effects here, right? The idea that an increased number of users improves the value of a good or service. Look at what it looks like. Only a few users, works great, right? But when the more people you add in, the more complexity and the more the network effects grows to continue to connect people at a much deeper and closer level, right? Well, look at this. Does this look like network effects to you? This is a real image of the XRP ledger time-lapsed over each year as it continues to grow. Does that look like network effects to you? This looks like network effects to me. Now, I will have to mute that because of the actual music inside of there. But let's move on. This is what network effects looks like in a distributed ledger. Yes, it is. The way the network effects of the dollar or social media network effects of those grow. When I think of network effects, I want you to take a look at some of this. just a quick description and true definitions here. What is meant by network effects? A network effect is a phenomenon whereby increased numbers of people improve the value of a good or service. E-commerce sites such as Etsy and eBay grew in popularity by accessing online networks and attracting consumers to their products. You know, this is what I think of when we're talking about network effects. I've heard Brad Garlinghouse talk about network effects. I've heard Naveen Gupta talk about network effects. I've heard Naveen Gupta talk about step change, right? And that leans into network effects. When you see large entities bring liquidity to a network in the same manner that you see like the phone industry, starts with just 2, branches out, and then you have this, and then it looks much like what I just showed you with the illustration of the ledger itself. When you think about the fact that we still haven't seen the United States become a real major player in the network effects yet, with Ripple and XRP in the ledger and the decentralized exchange, think about the fact that we're probably in this image, not this one. Even though we're connected globally and there's a lot going on that has given Ripple the leverage they need to fight the SEC to continue to grow by building 90+% of their customer base outside of the United States, is the most smartest leveraged business calculated move that Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse could have ever made. Because now the pressure is on the United States back at home to get this right. And I personally believe that we're going to get it right, because I have said, even on my channel on YouTube, I believe that Ripple was privately commissioned by the United States government to become the next Federal Reserve 2.0. And I believe that's how all the doors around the world have opened up for Ripple, because of their connection to the Federal Reserve through Greg Kidd and the U.S. Treasury, through multiple different people who have been in that company and still there today, like the 43rd Treasurer of the United States of America. When we start looking at the network effects of the dollar, you start looking at the network effects of the telephone industry, social media platforms, understand that the network effect strategy is what Ripple are putting forth, building the market infrastructure in so many different areas, not just cross-border. I start seeing a company that has been working to build the market infrastructure to create the moment for network effects and an exponential jump in what's going to happen, right? That's what I see coming here. And when I hear the term network effects being used, whether it's Stephen Nureyev, Brad Garlinghouse, Naveen Gupta, or myself or anyone else, I hope this gives a clearer look and a clearer picture at exactly what I believe is coming. No doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we are, and these are the kind of conversations we're having inside the Freedom Zone, and I encourage you to come in there with us. And in speaking about network effects and thinking about what Brian Brooks said about the logjam for real-world tokenization of asset, or real-world asset tokenization, and the $10 trillion by 2030 that Brad Garlinghouse talked about, is it hard to believe, looking at a market cap chart here, where Ed Grad Crypto says this morning, XRP market cap $1 trillion, just the beginning, in the wake of XRP's previous parabolic ascent, as you can see 2017 to 2018 here. It says, where it skyrocketed by a staggering 100,000%. The current surge of 7% might seem like a mere drop in the ocean. However, let's take a closer look. Unlike the last time, this time around, achieving 7% gain of the previous momental rise is not only feasible, but it's practically a walk in the park for the XRP community. Stay steady. The influx of trillions of dollars into the XRP Ledger ecosystem is looming ever so close. And as we just got the news that HSBC is going to use Metaco custody for their digital assets, This is remarkable, as we know that the rest of the world doesn't have the ambiguity and lack of clarity for digital assets. This is going to get exciting, and it wouldn't be hard at all to see this same jump to take us to $1 trillion market cap for XRP, especially knowing that Ripple's done the work to not only build the market infrastructure, but the custody too. Factor in Ripple and Uphold's recent partnership to make it easy to make payments, just as Monica Long has said, without having to get down into weeds and learn anything about what's going on, and just let Ripple do it in one single onboarding. And none of this is too far away from me, I can tell you that. Make sure you click the link underneath the video and join us in the Freedom Zone, or go to digperspectives.com and join us there. We'll catch all of you on the next one. Not financial advice from me or anyone else.